Hello, everyone. I hope you had a good Saturday. Frog, Snooks. Thank you, Snooks. And it's good to see y'all. Thank y'all, whoever was able to join us last night. Anaconda, good to see you. I was kind of wired after Indies, and um, it sounded like Carl and D were. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We just opened up alive and talked and played music and had some fun. We gotta have some fun sometimes. And then the the wired energy didn't stop. Today I was out in the yard with my little granddaughter, and the best thing in this world is her just holding my hand, running with me, laughing. That's been my goal for the past 5 years, and I finally hit it. And we were watering plants and cleaning the yard and trimming vines, and it was great. It's a good day. And then it was farmers market day. All the good things happen on Saturdays. Hey, Daniel, good to see you. A lot of people were falling asleep. Kiss Off was kind of dropping at me. Not really, but sort of. You broken patriot. She, about keeping everybody up all night. I wasn't keeping everybody up. Everybody could go to bed when they wanted to, but she was one of them in here. Her and Regina were a mess. So, what I'm going to talk about tonight is all of you warriors. And you may not see yourselves that way because to be a warrior, I don't think that you just have to be all muscle bound and strength. I think that you can have the heart of a warrior, as in the title. You can have the mind of a warrior. You can have the spirit of a warrior. Hey, Kiss Off, you awake? So, that's what I wanted to talk about. So, on a personal note, 5 years ago, um, most of y'all know, hi Catherine, good to see you, that I was very, very sick. And since then, I don't know, I have grown so much. And I think today when I was in prayer, just thinking about it, everything that I learned during that time, I think that everything physically was taken away from me on purpose. And I think that I had to go through that. I think I had to lose all my muscle, all my weight, my vision, and everything. And so during that time, what happened? that's when I found out who my warriors were right here around me. And um, because I had home help, I had people that had to sit with me, I had people who had to feed me, give me my medicine. It was not just I, I wasn't independent anymore. And maybe that was part of it too, was letting go of that ego of being such a strong, independent woman. It knocked me down a notch. And so I think that it was a good thing. I mean, I think that I learned a lot of lessons from that. And thankfully, I met all of y'all in the recuperating period and have tried to share each accomplishment with y'all that I've achieved in trying to get back to 100% me. And it may not even happen. Um, you know, none of us know how long we got. Apple Dumpling, I've been missing you. um, and I'm just kind of okay with that. Hi, Meat Puppet. I'm, I mean, there's so much I still want to experience. Um, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the darkness. We know that evil is happening all around us. We know that it's spreading more, seemingly. Um, I don't know if y'all know it, but all throughout YouTube, there are people in the chats. There's people that watch. There's people from every agency, from military, from media, from everywhere that watch a lot of these videos and are in the chats. Do we treat them any different? No, because we don't even know who they are. And so, I guess what I'm getting to is that when I was sick, I realized who my warriors were, who was going to be here for me no matter what. And there's a few that I'm really trying to speak to and make them understand. Turning Guns, good to see you. But it's all about who has your loyalty and you have theirs. It's loyalty, it's dependability, it's caring, it's the person that, and it can be one person, it can be several. It's your group that you know is going to be there no matter what. That each one of you is willing to fight for the other in any way. No matter what the consequences are. Snooks asked a question last night on Indies. And so I want to explain that a little too. To fight this darkness, we have to be the light. We have to be the ones that shine brighter. In the Bible, doesn't it say something about that? I can't remember the scripture right now. I just went, oof. I believe that the brightness is stronger than the darkness. And as long as we stay true to ourselves, true to our group, true to our communities, true to the people that matter the most to us, that's how we win. That's how we fight it. Or anyway necessary. Estimating. What else did I write? And I've been saying a lot of stuff is just improving our skills, even if our skills are just how to talk to people, how to be there for people. So one of the things I wrote down, you don't have to be a warrior to be a hero. And know that in a person's moment of fear, your presence could calm that fear. You're just you being there and them knowing that you're there. It is draining, Kiss Off, I know. And that's what I try to do. And sometimes we go on the wayside. Sometimes there's some disagreements. And Frog, just be you. I know what you're talking about. Kiss Off. Don't worry about it. It is draining. It's draining praying for so many people. It's draining. He stands alone. It's draining to. It's more mentally draining, I think, though, and that's why most of these videos that I post, the motivational, the trying to boost the morale, is just to make sure that mentally we are in a good spot. We're going to see losses. We're going to see heartache. We're going to see a lot of things, I think. But if we're still here, that's when they're going to need us the most. And some people say that everybody's not worth it. Well, I think they are. Everybody is worth it. But you just have your certain group that they're right there. They're They're hands-on right there. And so, yes, the brotherhood, if you want to call it that, is gonna be right there. What am I trying to say? Turkish coffee. Hmm, that sounds kind of good. Oh, my cigarette keeps going out, probably because I don't need it. um, but the hardest thing about the evil is trying not to be deceived. Um, that's the hardest part for me because men keep saying that women are emotional. Well, men are more physical, and there's nothing wrong with being emotional. Our emotions are what strengthen us, I feel, because when you go through those emotions, you realize the emotions that you're feeling and you deal with it. Men hold it inside. They don't seem to talk about emotions much. And so, is that healthy? I don't think so. But I have seen a lot of emotion up here by men. They get um, pretty passionate. We'll put it that way. And so that's been my goal here, is to build on that, on every bit of that, just to build on every bit of that, to get, to build our relationships closer to just, and I keep saying we're a bunch of girls. It doesn't matter. They are so strong. It's, no, there's a strength here that is, it's just amazing for me to see. And so I don't have any fear. Logic. Um, at times I can see that. Um, I mean, my only close relationship, really, really close, was ex-husband. Um, and that's another thing is um, people with spouses build on that too. Um, hey, Share Bear. I mean, I thought found someone who would be there um, in every way, and it's all those things: loyal, dependable. Um, and when you get married, hey T girl, or even when you're dating, I guess. But when you get married, you you assumably both feel the same way about each other, and So there's always a solution, unless they do something that is against God's law. And we all know what those things are. Um, Marriage is not for suckers. I've seen some beautiful, amazing marriages. Who's she? Who's not blue and a protector of children? I believe you, T girl. I've heard a lot about yours, and you were blessed. And I know it can happen. I've seen it. It's been, oh, well, no, I still see it around me. I think it takes a good foundation. I think that's why they did the meet the parents. Once you meet the parents and you watch how they interact, how the parents interact with each other, and how they interact as a family, I think that tells a whole lot about how they're going to interact with you, because that's how it's been. Are you talking about Chair Bear? I can fix that. And I think those are the things I should have paid attention to before I ever got married, was the family, how they interacted, because it would have shown me a lot. Let me turn the volume down before I hit on it, because then y'all hear double. Yeah, Frog, I think so too, kind of. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that's what does it. Um, there's a lot of factors that can go into that. If they're a narcissist, so having a narcissistic parent, I think, instantly makes you a caregiver. It makes you the one to make sure that everybody's okay. Makes you the thank you, Kiss Off it reminded me. She's blue now. But in some people, it can turn them bitter. And um, so that's not good. And that's where we grow from all the traumas that have happened to us in our lives. We can have a really sucky childhood, and you learn from that. You're like, good Lord, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be like that. And so you try all your life not to be like that. Some things I think are just ingrained in there. I don't know. But I don't know. Life is hard to figure out. I just know that we need to step up on the fighting the evil, and whatever that means for you. For me, it's daily. It's like a daily battle, and um, sometimes it gets the best of me too, and then I'm not myself, and then I get mad, and then I have to just meditate, go into that calm place, find my sanctuary spot for the day, and just really concentrate on getting back to myself. It's hard to do. It's hard to do alone. And that's why people with a spouse, you're blessed. You have that person. And that's why I said build on it. If you have somebody that cares that much about you, that is there with you, that's your support, that's your security, that's your your love, unconditional love. Yeah, absolutely turning good. Forgiveness is a big one. And I had to I had to do that a lot. Yeah, because I mean, even if my husband, you know, he would go out and fight forest fires, and there was one time he came back, and I'm telling you, he was literally crooked. Like his body was all crooked. He couldn't even stand up straight, stand right. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, what has happened to him? And why didn't they get him medical help? But even if, even if I would have had to take care of him, I would have done it, no matter what that meant. That's unconditional love, where you are willing to do whatever it takes to take care of that person that you love. Kids, husbands, neighbors, friends, whoever. But that real love, so many people don't even find it. Absolutely. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. I had to do that. I had to do a lot of forgiving. And now we can be in the same room together and not nothing be bad about it. Oh my goodness, kiss off. I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's got to be hard. Well, and that's when you need to step into the self care kiss off. You need to do things for you. Pamper yourself as much as you can, even if it's 10 minutes a day. Go somewhere just to yourself and do something pampering yourself, a foot soak, a whatever, Whatever makes you feel good. Yeah, I will definitely keep you in the prayers. I know, honey. It is tiring, and that's why you've got to do the self care. Because what good are you going to be if you wear yourself out and then can't do it? You got to take care of yourself too, hon. I know, hon. And that's one good thing about coming on here. We can just let go. Um, it's good to joke around with the other people in here. It's good to just joke around and laugh and just that's it's a break too. I do it. I go to the channels that I know I can do that and not be judged or think something else. I don't know. I love you, kiss off. Remember what I said? You kick ass. You want to come up? You can put the link up if you want to come up. I'll put the link in case anybody wants to come up. Never know. Last night, Chuck was sleeping. Was it last night? It was the night before last when I went live. I think. Yeah. Yep. Because I was here a lot by myself then. Kiss off. Think of the alternative. It's kind of lonely. And that's why I don't want my youngest daughter living with me. She's she's difficult. She she has autism and she has that Asperger's part of it too, where she just starts yelling and cussing and out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, what set this off? When she was little, it would be they would call it a meltdown, and she would just start crying and screaming, and it took a lot to calm her down. It was like it was really hard, and um, but man, she is the one who taught me patience. Patience was something that I just had to have all the time because, yes, and she had the Tourette's too. Hi, Remote. Good to see you. The link's up above there. It, I don't know if you saw it, if you want to come up. um, yeah, and so because of all of that, she was pretty bullied in school. She was different, but she has a heart of gold inside of all of that that she goes through. And she gets mad because she doesn't know how to control it. And she used to be on medication for it. Well, since we've seen what the medication does, and she didn't like the way the medication made her feel, so she got off of it. And so it's still just every so often it happens. Luckily, she has a boyfriend that's noticed it, and he seems to be working with her, and she's doing pretty good the past week. So, yes, and that's why I try to be kind to everyone on here and let y'all all know that you matter. Everyone is going through something, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. Everyone is going through their own trials, their own something. And we're here for each other. That's that's the blessing of this, is just being for here for each other and being able to pray for each other. And, oh, I'm so sorry, Remote. My Father, please be with Remote. Remote, I have a scripture for you for that. Actually, you would think I'd have it memorized all the years that I have been reading it. Remote, it's Ezekiel 16:6. Just keep repeating it. Ezekiel 16:6 stops bleeding. I know it works. My grandmother taught me that young, and I've seen it work. Hey, Sean, good to see you. And yes, kiss up. That was another thing I was going to talk about. Thank you. I know I didn't say that right. Ezekiel. I said Ezekiel. Ezekiel. Um, no, it was Remote that said that. So being the leader of your family, the 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 one that makes sure everything is as it should be, takes care of everybody, is it's really hard to um, stay strong in some moments, that we got to keep fighting the fight no matter what. Yes, Remote viewer, that's it. Yeah, I'll remember that. If you're ever having trouble bleeding or anything, it Ezekiel 16:6. Absolutely. Whole Bible is a verse for tomorrow. Thank you, Pappy. Drop the link again. See if anyone's come on. You say it so much better than I do. When the hopes of man seem hopeless is when the miracles of the Creator can be manifest. That right there is no denying that He is the power and glory, not man. Amen. Glory be to God. And by the blood of Christ we are saved. God bless your remote. Please get rest and you take care. Thank you for coming in. And Pappy, that's what I believe I saw whenever I got sick, was because it just seemed to open that channel so much stronger. It was just like, I cannot explain it. And I know a lot of people don't believe in visions, but I was having visions, wide awake visions. I think it was 3 times with the visions. And then one time just telling me what to do. And so I did it. It all, it is so weird. It just all fell into place. And I don't know how it happens. Just sometimes it just happens. Just be aware. And I think that's the most awareness you need to have, is being aware of any messages. And the message can come from anyone, anytime, anywhere. It just happens. And then, instantly it's from him. I can't start crying. I just get emotional whenever I know that I absolutely know he is all around us. Everyone keeps saying God wins. It's true. And that's the thing, is don't sell your soul. Too many people have sold their soul for money, for power, for I don't know what. I just can't imagine. Hey, Sean.
Hi, Bonnie. How you doing this fine evening?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good and stuff. And,
Good.
I just wanted to drop in, say hello, and then share a little narrative or two.
Awesome. I
You
appreciate it.
know, yeah, everyone's having their hard times and their issues and stuff. But, folks, don't despair. And I'm going to share you guys a little something like an example in my world. One of the places I work, we got undercut on the contract. Well, my employer, he's loyal to all of the boys he has on the roster. So he shuffled us around into other places. So yeah, I'm going to be, a little bit short on my hours, what have you. That happens in life.
Yes.
But the final paycheck he collected from that contract, what he did is he gave all of us $200 bonuses to make up for the days of work we would miss. Not many employers anymore are like that, folks,
No.
or operate in a godly way like that. So just like in my case, okay, I'm gonna have to tighten the belt for a couple weeks until I, pick up some extra hours or something. But have hope, folks, because there's always good people out there that do the right thing like that, and they take care of their guys, they take care of their ladies, whoever they be. And
Yes.
Bonnie, thank you for sharing that verse. I'm going to utilize that tomorrow on the Sunday call. So that
Okay.
that was like a awesome little thing. I was like, I need a verse tonight to pick out for tomorrow, and you just happen to provide it. So thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
yeah, that synchronicity. Everything works together
We
when
are like,
everyone's moving in the spirit.
yes.
I can't wait to see the revival in this nation when everyone is regularly praying to the Lord and carrying themselves rightly. And everyone may have their little theological disputes, but the overall, theme is Christ is our salvation and the center of our focus. Ooh, I'm already getting chills thinking about it.
Yes.
So,
That,
we're in the what I would say is definitely the third Great Awakening. We had one in Europe, then we had the one right after the Revolutionary War, and it's time for us to have that third one. Finally, get the American people out of their sleep. And I think we're going to be that city on the shining hill. So, if you got anything for me, Bonnie, I can stick around. Otherwise, I'll let other people up on the panel. But I want you guys out there, if you're feeling down or whatever, prayer fixes everything. And you may not get the answer right now, but you will get an answer eventually. God bless.
exactly. Thank you. God bless you. And you don't have to jump down. I mean, if you're wanting to talk about anything, let's do it. It's good to see you.
Well, I'm hanging out at work, so if there's a panel for tonight, I'm more in
Oh,
a shoot the breeze mode. So I had the shift I was telling you, they gave us the extra shifts to make up for our hours at our other site. It's like
mm-hmm.
I'm here watching the truck yard again. And hey, you know what? It's been a slow day, so I can hang for a while till probably about 8:30 or so when I start wrapping up. So that gives me like an hour and a half or so. If you guys want me up here, let me know. I'll
Yes.
go ahead and mute for the time being.
You're fine. And what Pappy said, many will be given visions and guidance when we listen to the still voice within us, but we cannot discern with the physical senses, but the spiritual senses that are being activated for this time. Amen. I so believe that. And I that's what I was saying. When I lost everything, I had to depend on spiritual. It was, I mean, I could smell, hear, talk. Nothing keeps me from talking. Y'all know that. But when you lose one sense, just it amps up the others. It makes the others, it heightens them, if that makes any sense. And that's when I was out in the yard today playing with baby girl. I was very aware of everything that was going on around us. I was um, always watching. And so we're in Texas and we're walking around in the grass and there's leaves all over the grass. And we've already had rattlesnakes spotted inside the town, so I know they're out. And so yeah, we have to watch where we're walking a lot. And we were in sandals, not boots. And that's why most people around here wear boots, is because of the snakes.
May I, Bonnie, for a short moment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just getting my nature nerd flex on. Out here in Riverside County and in the area we're in, all the way up to where the Morongo Casino out in San Bernardino County is, we have what's called a Morongo Morongo rattlesnake. It's kind of like a variation on the Mojave rattler. Anyway,
Hmm.
not as venomous as, say, the diamondbacks or the others. It's actually less venomous and a little bit smaller. But if you're looking at it just right, it looks like beautiful pinks and salmon and yellow type tones to it,
Hmm.
and it just makes you I know everyone's like, oh gosh, rattlesnake. Like, nah. That is another. If you look at it as a marvel of God's creation and work, let's not think serpent in the Garden of Eden. Let's just say, because that was one serpent and one bad dude, or one bad fallen angel. But let's
Yeah.
look at that rattlesnake just as it is. I've seen them at my work site, the one we're not at anymore. That was one of my favorite things, was actually watching the little guy crawling under our shed and then crawling off to go hunt the jackrabbits or the frogs or whatever he was going to go eat. This guy's 3 or 4 feet long at most. He's got his little rattle and everything. But you look at him and it's like, between their locomotion, their ability to use that Jacobson organ with their tongue to track the scent and the heat signatures of whatever they bite, and they can crawl in and out and all these things. There are people who will say, well, that evolved blah 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 from a pile of gunk and amino acids in a tide pool somewhere. That fine engineering that is a rattlesnake has so many intricate parts that makes it. And then his prey, say a jackrabbit,
Yeah.
so many intricate parts. And there'll be someone out there, well, you just are using God to explain what you can't understand. It's the God of the gaps. It fills in the blanks. Nah. If you look at things, if you break down science, anything in the vertebrate realm, for example, you can have reptiles with wings. The Dracovolans, a flying lizard out of Malaysia, Indonesia, wherever.
Yes.
That's its rib cage, but you'll notice they're not true wings. It just is like a paracel. Anything with true wings in
Right.
the vertebrate kingdom, it's always the arms that become the wings, and then you have the hind legs. Now, go along with that, again, vertebrates, anything you look out of them, they always have 2 legs and 2 forelimbs. Whether the forelimbs become wings or arms is optional, but you always have that same basic structure. That same blueprint repeats: spinal column, rib cage, forelimbs, rear limbs, and some type of tail structure, as well as a head.
Yeah.
There is a distinct blueprint. What is that odds that blueprint repeats across all these vertebrate species of animals? Even the snake that I reference, when you go and look at the fossil record and the pythons and the other snakes that supposedly, they all evolved, right? But their basic structures, they still have these little spurs that once upon a time were linked to where their hips would have been. So just something to think about, folks. If there's any proof of God, it's in his creation. And all of you are part of that creation. So each of you tonight, if you're feeling down, look in that mirror. God's in you, it's in each of us, and he's given us this great big, beautiful world. I get to sit at this lot, and right beyond the trucks is a unincorporated area of Riverside County. We have wild donkeys that come down through here. We have bobcats. We have red-tailed hawks, opossums, raccoons. There's frogs in the creek that are croaking right now. That's why I'm staying away from the lot at the moment. If God could create all this for me to enjoy, there's something out there you guys can find that you can enjoy that'll lift you up. And it could even be the stars. When these clouds out here in California clear over, I like to take a look at the stars and stuff, folks, because we're not going to be stuck on this little orb forever. So,
Yep.
Quit looking down at your phone and getting sleepy. Start looking up at the heavens.
Yes.
You'll find your answer up there, out there, and in your Bible. I yield.
Every little thing. And that's why I love to be outside, because there's just beauty all around. Some people say I live in the desert. I don't consider it desert. We have wild grass here. Up there in the Panhandle, that's where I think it's the desert. And Carl and I have been trying to figure out what in the world is burning. But today I saw some pictures, and they actually do have trees and grass, and I don't know how that happened because it used to be just sand and tumbleweeds and rocks, and that's what the way I remember it. But so that just shows you too what the earth can do to itself, that it can rebuild itself, and it's continuously. It's not just once, it just keeps doing it over and over and over. We were talking about the fires that we had here. The Bastrop fire was the big one. And even though I still see black trees standing in that area, so much more has come up. In fact, we used to every so often build up or burn off our grass because it makes it come back so much nicer. The fields, a lot of times they'll burn them off because it makes it grow better. I don't know if it's the ash from the fire or what it is, but and I think the ash has nitrogen in it or something that can make it grow back better.
Well, you're correct about that. And a good book, everyone knows it, in every funeral, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The world renews. That we're part of that cycle is one of our links to the Almighty. It used to be a regular thing. Everyone would trace their genealogy back to Adam. Now we have people who don't even know how to trace their genealogy to any of their ancestors, not even to their great grandparents or grandparents, because they don't know. For their souls, I hope they find the Lord quicker, because, in this big, family of ours, if you don't have that link, you don't have any link to the human race or the human species, whatever terms you want to use.
Yep.
I'm reflecting at the moment. I watched something earlier today where there's a fellow who's known about talking about his ancestors in Travis County and stuff, and how he wants to live up to that legacy, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of folks probably know who I'm referencing, because he's kind of a internet cause celeb, whatever. But
Okay.
he's got a point. He's got a point that if you do all this stuff and it's less than your ancestors, then what did they sacrifice for? You should always be trying to scale up what you can, and if you can't do it, at least provide that effort and provide that next generation their launching point. Yes. And we are now in an era where there are those who want to take away the launching pads, the launching points for the youth, and hobble them. And so we got to have a new renaissance with this great awakening. We got to have a new renaissance: trade skills, manual skills, craftsmanship, carpentry, cement laying, bricklaying, steelworking, metallurgy, all of that stuff. And a lot of you preppers out there, what I'm talking about is true. You know how to make your own bullets. You know how to, brew your own moonshine. You know how to skin a buck, run a trout line. You have these survival skills that are going to have to be passed on. So find the kids that are willing to listen and take instruction, teach them, because that's another way we connect to the Creator, is that we pass all that knowledge from above through our ancestors to us. We pass it on. If you keep it in your head, it does you no good. So don't be greedy with it. Don't give it to a kid who's going to use it to cause trouble, of course, unless it's funny. In that case, have at it.
Yeah.
Teach them how to go snipe hunting. I'm laughing a little too much about that. I should probably be quiet.
I was taking snipe hunting. That was me.
Yep. So,
yeah. Anyway. And that's true, though. And people don't understand that, So I have a brother. Hey, Raptor, it's good to see you. And he is he became a Californian for whatever reason. And so we live in two different worlds. Um, and but it's hard for me to understand how he could do that. How people think that they have to the see the world in their lifetime to know the world, to I don't know what the reason is actually. I haven't seen the world. I haven't seen a whole lot of the United States. I've seen a lot of Texas, but the other states is uh, Oklahoma and Kentucky, the states I had to go through to get to Kentucky. And there's beautiful country everywhere. But for 200 years, my roots have been right here in Texas. The Battle of the Alamo, the San Jacinto battle, all of it. Family was there, and um, so yeah, we go to Goliad, and that's what we try to teach the younger kids is just doing that, going to the gravesides of our family and paying tribute to them, honoring them. And that's why I had a whole lot of trouble with cremation for the longest time, because I felt that they should have that place to go to speak with that person if they wanted to. And but now I've realized, because my grandmother decided she wanted to be cremated, that she's still, I can talk to her right here, from right here. She's still watching over me. I know she is. I feel it.
Amen. If I may, Bonnie, that's something I used to wonder about as a child as well, the whole cremation versus burial. And there are actually mausoleums, family vaults on places across the world where you do have little urns kept inside the mausoleum alongside caskets and
Yeah.
other memorials. But if we think of the body, see, this is one of those great debates people do have about the afterlife. When they pass away, is it like they literally go to sleep? Is there a realm for their spirit that's conscious and they're active, like in What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams? Which I've read the book of that, by the way. Same author as The Incredible Shrinking Man and I Am Legend. Very good book. If you haven't read the book, read the book. It's better than the movie.
I
But
will. Thank
he
you.
compiled the book after interviewing religious leaders from different traditions all across the world. So it was like kind of a fantasy drama for him, but it was also, for him, it helped, as an author, it helped him get a grasp on his spirituality and of what, like the title says, what dreams may come. He himself isn't saying he's right, but he's saying he feels that what he wrote was kind of correct, that you will eventually meet your loved ones again in the afterlife, and that you'll go, on to other things together.
Yep.
And for us, we're discovering, we have, our 3D dimension, we have a fourth dimension of time, we have a fifth dimension or a fifth sense, and we are discovering these things called quantum realms. And then you get into that real metaphysical stuff. We're only perceiving such a glorious small fraction of what creation is, that imagine if we were to perceive any more, we might be overwhelmed. I call it sensory overload. Like if I go to Vegas or to a place during Christmas season, I actually like the sensory overload of all the lights and noise and the hustle and bustle of crowds. I actually enjoy that. But it gets to a point sometimes where, for me, it's like I can't hear anyone talking. It's all a murmur, and I
Yeah.
can't focus on anything because it's too much, input coming in from lights, from traffic lights, from car horns, from motors, from the person I'm walking and trying to have a conversation with. Maybe their kids tugging at their pants at the same time, say, "Daddy, Daddy, this." And meanwhile, the friend's wife, she's carrying the bags, and I'm giving her a hand, getting them in the car, and that isn't a bad thing per se, but our limiters as people, we're going to pass our limits one way or another. Whether it's the oncoming AI stuff, cybernetic enhancement, biological enhancement, or just hundreds of thousands of generations, we're going to get better and better. The only way we're not going to get better is if we decide, okay, we're not, that we're content with just falling by the wayside and letting certain elites run the future world. And I would say that'd be a shame. Let certain people who are inbred and ethically deficient tell moral, upright Christian Americans that no, you people that have a connection to God, you don't need to go into the future. In fact, we consider you, archaic. We consider you Luddites, etc. No, we're creators. Like God, again, we're similar. That whole little g thing you hear, we create. And like God, we can destroy. And it's always a choice. And I think I choose creation with the rest of you. And so if you guys are feeling down on this fine Saturday night, right now, if you never heard this, trivia for you. If you go to Italy, Saturday night is actually the first day of the week on their calendar in Italy. It's in the West that they've played around with our calendars and jumbled it all up. Hence, in Spanish, sábado, Saturday is actually your Sabbath, etc. And that's where that whole Sabbath argument comes from, is that over here in the Americas, for some reason, we've changed the way the calendars are placed in the grid structure. And then we impose that on the world. Well, get back to your roots, folks. Try to see if you can get your Sunday off from work. I know that's a tough one. Yeah. But even me, I do my work on Sundays, but I always take it easy at my shift. I'm relaxed. I'm just studying. I'm reading the Word. So basically, my employer, and he doesn't mind that we read as long as we're awake on shift. He's very happy that I'm actually studying the Bible on my Sundays, especially Old Testament stuff. So yeah. Just make a point one day a week. Or as this one minister, what's his name? Dutch. I'm trying to remember his name right now off the top of my head. I even subscribed to his channel, but he has a series called Give Him 15, just 15 minutes a day with the Lord. You'll find your bearing gets, recentered. Your day doesn't look too bad, when we compare it to previous generations, but also your day looks a lot better when you read about those previous generations of the Bible rising up and overcoming, whether they're in the lion's den, they're in the fires from Nebuchadnezzar, they're on the cross and not losing the faith. The struggles we have, folks, we're having the same struggles they did 2,500 years ago. The only difference is we have technology to make it a little bit easier for us, or in some cases a lot. And the emotional part, you'll find there's support in that book too for you. Yes. And then, Bonnie, I'm sure you know this. We got this big YouTube community. We've had this, for years, from Dangerous Freedom to the Chase the Patriot show on the West Coast to all kinds of channels. Okay, maybe some of the folks are on Rumble now. Maybe some are on Twitch or whatever. But we're all still out there. If you're looking for people, you're feeling bad, someone will listen. Just because it's the right thing to do, it's a decent thing to do. So always feel free to reach out, folks. What we're here for.
Absolutely. You can go into any chat and great people everywhere. They're all over. And it's worldwide. I've seen so many people from other countries, and they're in the same boat we are. They're just trying their hardest to get through their government issues. It's national. It's worldwide, global.
Well, the government issues become stressful only if you dwell on them. If your house is in order and your community is in order, then the government can't do too much unless they take up arms against your community. And that's why you have your arms. Not that you should have to go that far because, as you know, Bonnie, I teach about the way to prevent that from happening. But it's still a check and balance system we somewhat have.
Yep.
Yep. And Rev Rats Rides says, I hope you don't mind, Bonnie, but I've been praying for you. And I would have to say ditto, not to sound like Rush, but there's a lot of people on my prayer list. I don't mind that it grows longer, you know?
Thank you. And I'll take all of them I can get.
Oh, yeah. There are different people I've known from my assembly stuff that have, family help they need, uh, health issues. Prayer is one part, talking to the people is another part. Sometimes we've shown up out here in California. We've, attended their family events and helped them out with just stuff to support them. And that's really as we're looking at this crazy 2024 cycle, where I foresee the American people will be up and moving alongside our future POTUS. Well, we're going to do that because we're each going to carry each other's cross. We're going to pick up our cross, and when we stumble, like Simon, we'll each come to our neighbor and say, "Hey, neighbor, I got that for you. I'm going to hold the door for you so you can take your groceries out of your car. Miss, I'll help you cross the street," because I remember when I was a scout, that's what I was taught to do. Sir, looks like there was some dude casing your house last night coming up in a hoopty ride that I had a bunch of other guys, blazed up, and had the ride all murdered out. You might want to keep your lights on tonight. Any of that stuff. Looking out for each other, folks. We're gonna have some pretty interesting times. The question is whether you're going to be in the remnant or you're going to give up to these times. I think all of us listening are going to be in the remnant. Maybe not in one piece. Maybe I won't make it. I'll be a headstone. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to give up the faith. I'm not going to give up faith in my fellow Americans, or in Bonnie, or in Dee, or any all you other guys that are out there that I've interacted with. We've gone too far to quit. And to be honest, I'm too stupid to quit.
Oh yeah, I won't go down on my knees except for him and him alone, and that's
Amen.
it. And turning guns, I'm on my way to eat today and tomorrow. Belgian waffles tomorrow. Just made French toast. This is all like sounding so good. And
Apple Dumplings said Dutch sheets. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. And Bonnie Rocksteady was saying, "Are you saying we're up the creek without a paddle?"
yeah, I
And you
told him.
said, "Not at all." I think, get this, Bonnie. I think you ever see that Charlie Brown cartoon where he's doing the white water rafting?
Yeah.
It was called Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. It was like from the 70s or the early 80s. Wasn't it? Yeah, it wasn't as cute as the Great Pumpkin one. But here's the thing: I've actually done some whitewater rafting. Fun scouting trip that was. Everyone in the raft, when that raft hits the rapids and people are getting launched out, guess what? They come back around and they pick you up. And as long as you don't lose your cool, you keep your feet up, you get yourself out of the rapids and next to a rock and hang on. Yeah, that boat will come by and they'll fish you out. You get back in the boat, get back on the rapids, and get rafting farther down. And I'm referencing the Kern River in this case for those who want to put a map to it. So that's us, folks. We're that big whitewater rafting team. Some of us are going to get launched out of that boat. Some of us might just, fall over the edge because it's funny. But don't worry, we're going to bring that boat back around and we're going to check on you and make sure you're good.
Yeah. That's
and if you ain't good, you ain't good. We're going to make you wait on that rock until you're ready to get back in the boat.
That's right. It's good to see you up here. How are you?
Welcome.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm doing all right. Today was kind of a crappy day, but hey, it happens. But
Oh, hate to hear that.
well, no, it's a different reason. Today I had to go in the bathroom and rebuild my toilet.
Oh, that's always fun.
So, sorry, a little off humor. Bunny, you were in my stream the other day. You seen that, I try to use humor when I can, but I wanted to come and see how you were doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you. yeah, I try to get around to all the channels that I can and spread some love and light and just see what the conversation is and how everybody's doing. We're all in this community together, and
Amen. Amen. And you seen the community that I'm building. It's we can have the worst of the worst and the best of the best all in the same show. But when we come together with our burdens and we share them amongst others, our burdens are lessened. And when we come to each other with our victories, our celebrations are heightened.
Amen.
absolutely.
I was gonna inquire, Rev, is the toilet, it's the install of the toilet, or were you having to do repairs on parts, or how was that working for you?
Um, well, we had a little drip in it, and then the wax ring started leaking. So we were getting some rather unpleasant smells in the house. And then when I started the job today, I was taking one of the nuts off, and don't you know, it decided to stick on the bolt, and so my only option was to take a
Oh,
broken sawzall blade and cut it in half. So what
yeah.
should have been maybe at the most an hour job for the whole thing ended up taking all day.
So
Wow.
I can tell you a funny toilet story. Um, my oldest son, we were potty training him, and you know how the little toilet has a little plastic guard there for the boy, and um, our toilet kept getting plugged up, and we ran a snake. We did everything, and could not figure it out for nothing. And I think even took it out in the backyard to run a hose through it a few times. Hose was running through it fine. We couldn't figure it out. And so the last time we took it out, and of course you have to replace the seal and everything every time you do that.
Mhm.
Last time we took it out, my father-in-law and the husband, they said, "You have small hands. See if you can feel any single thing down in here." So I stuck my hand down in that hole, and sure enough, it was that little plastic piece off of that potty chair. Every so often it would flip up and just clog the thing up. But we got it out. So at least it was just one day for you. Because a, it was a while before we got it cleared out finally. Hey Indy, good to see you.
Andy, welcome. Welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, should I introduce myself or
If you'd like to, that would and Indy's here. And
I
you see
mean,
her, so
I
she'll
know a
probably
couple people here, but I see a lot of people that I'm not real familiar with.
Indy, if you have a link for her, that's right. I would appreciate it if you could drop it.
Okay. Well, I'm a almost 46-year-old custom car and motorcycle builder from Florida. I'm also an ordained minister, and I started my channel to uh, really just because I've written a song and actually gotten it published. I hadn't planned for it to go much beyond that. And then about a year ago, thank you, Andy. About a year ago, I actually decided that, you know, a lot of the cars that I'm interested in, you really don't see anymore. And so wanted to start showcasing them, and so I actually started taking it serious, and it's been an interesting trip since then.
That's great.
And beyond showcasing what I do with cars and motorcycles, I've through several inspirations and several channels I could shout out. I decided to help help with the mental health aspect because I am a diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic, and so I deal with mental health struggles every day. And a good buddy of mine, Bert, who runs the Modern Day Breakfast Club, hashtag MDBC. Um, he does great live streams now Tuesdays and Thursdays. He was doing Sundays, but when he decided he didn't want to do it anymore, he asked me to fill in, and so at 7 p.m. Every Sunday, I have a mental health uh, live stream where, as I stated earlier, we lift each other up when they're feeling low, and we lift everybody higher when we celebrate. And
That's
I have a weird sense of humor and stuff, so taking inspiration again from Bert, he has the Modern Day Breakfast Club, and it's cool to have your own crew. So my crew is the Skunk Squid crew.
skunk squid. Is there a reason for that?
Um, well, historically, like in the 80s, a lot of the behind the scenes facilities at like GM and stuff like that were often called the Skunk Works. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, well, how would it be if I did the Skunk Squad? And so I started with that, but then um, I found out that there actually already is a Skunk Squad. It's a fishing product, and so I'm not about stepping on anybody's toes. So being respectful, I went ahead and changed it up a little bit. And besides, it's another tongue twister like Revrat's Rides. We have the skunk squids.
Yes. And so I wasn't sure if it was Reverend or if it was revved up at rights. Sorry about that. So that's why I
To
keep saying
answer that question, the answer is yes.
it's both.
I am an ordained minister, and I love the sound of a revving engine. So yes.
Okay. I do too. I used to have a old pickup truck, and so when you'd sit there idling, it would just kind of bounce around, vibrate. I love that. And because it did that though, then people would pull up next to me and decide they wanted to race, and I can't turn down a race. And so, yeah, straight up San Pedro and San Antonio, I'd be.
What kind of truck was it, and what'd you have under the hood?
It was a 1970 Ford, and I believe that motor was a 351 Windsor.
Okay, nice. I'm a GM guy, but I respect all builds. Uh, in my past, I've been an auto mechanic and custom car motorcycle builder for over 2 decades. Actually, I've been doing it all my life. I've just been doing it professionally for 2 decades. But
Yeah.
I have built literally everything from Fast and Furious type tuner cars to
Oh,
monster trucks, and motorcycles, everything from, well, right now, one of my projects is an old 1976 Honda 750, but it's an automatic. It doesn't shift gears like a normal motorcycle. And that
that's
one, I ended up having to go through the wiring harness on the bike and on that one, and um, that is every technician's nightmare. That one, I'm about 98% done with it, and I've replaced over 70% of the factory harness,
oh my goodness.
including making the terminals and the connectors and all the little bits you see.
Yeah.
Um, but one of my dad is bringing me into probably stuff you remember, if you had that pickup truck, if you remember the choppers of that era. Um,
Yes.
and he's bringing me into the fold where we're actually getting into British iron. Uh,
Oh, wow.
one one of the projects he's trying to pull me onto is wiring up a 69 Triumph 750 hardcore chopper straight from the 60s, or late 60s, early 70s. It wasn't all stretched out in the front end or anything, but it has the hard tail, and um, it's definitely an era piece. But everybody is absolutely scared of the British motorcycles because um, the American the American cars and motorcycles, you ground you put the ground system on the negative battery terminal. Okay.
Hmm.
And it's very specific that you do that because the electrons just have to flow the right way and everything.
Right.
And being America, everybody is trained on your negative is your ground.
Yes.
On the British bikes, your positive is your ground.
Huh.
So um, the only way I've successfully been able to understand how to uh, understand the positive ground system is, and hopefully you'll forgive me for saying this, but enjoy some natural medicine.
Mhm.
Forget everything you know about typical wiring and just do everything in reverse.
Oh my goodness.
What you think is right, you do the opposite of.
Just like their cars and everything. Everything's backwards.
Yeah, and to answer Meat Puppet's question, Sugar Bear front ends. I love Sugar Bear front ends. I would love to get one, and I'm I've studied Sugar Bear quite a bit. He's a true OG, him and Denver's Choppers. And I actually have figured out Sugar Bear's secret how he gets his front end so long and makes them ride just like you got power steering. Like it's you can, with the Sugar Bear front ends, they're a little unusual to get used to because most bikes you have to keep both hands on the handlebars at all times and just keep it stable. With Sugar Bears, his are just so smooth and uh, so good that you don't need two hands. The way to ride a Sugar Bear front end is literally with one hand.
No.
Um, I think if anybody can find an old episode of Counting Cars, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, uh, Danny Coker redid his bike and you know put a Sugar Bear front end on Dee Snider's bike, and when Dee first went out to ride it, he tried to ride it two-handed, and he was twitching too much, and it was upsetting the bike. And then he figured out, oh yeah, you're supposed to ride it one-handed. Yes, yes, meat puppet. Um, uh, Danny Coker, he'll build you anything you want. And that's pretty expensive, turning guns. So
This
but
is,
that's where my passion is.
see if I can find the picture. There it is. That's my mama's. And she's 83.
Oh, wow.
And she
Okay.
hasn't been riding it as much as she used to, but that's me on it. So I get to now.
I
It's
like
fun.
the reverse trikes. Those are neat. And
Yeah.
you still get the wind in your face. So,
Yep. And so I thought, and it's an automatic. I never could get down the clutch and the everything that it all at once. I literally flipped all over the field trying to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And so when she got this one, she said, "It's even one that you can ride." And I said, "Hallelujah, finally." And so I go out there and I found out I cannot cut up on it in loose gravel because that one tire in the back will take off in a whole different direction. But
it will accelerate quickly.
yeah, it's got some power. And then my son-in-law, he's been having fun on it too, and he keeps on, "I want this, I want this." And I said, "Nope, I'm first." There's fine.
And Sean, to answer your question, yeah, one-handed, because all you really need your left hand for is your clutch, and once you get rolling, you just have to keep your hand on the throttle.
Go back to the beach.
Your cute pebbles. Um, I think though, Bonnie, that you would really like this old Honda that I'm building.
Mhm.
It actually started out as just getting it back on the road for another lady that she was kind of shorter in stature, but she didn't want to go through the hassle of learning how to do a clutch and all that. And like on a normal bike with a clutch, you go all the way down, you're in first gear, half a step up is neutral, and then up from there is 2, 3, 4, whatever. On this bike, all the way down is low, one up, or no, all the way down is neutral, one up is low, two up is drive, and you do it with absolutely no clutch whatsoever.
That's neat. I love to go to the antique car shows, the rat, what do they call them, rat rallies?
Hmm.
They have those all like every weekend in Austin. It's a pretty good drive, but it's still worth it. And where I live, a lot of times they'll be going through here to a car show somewhere and stop, and I have to take a picture of every single one of them.
Nice.
Love antique cars.
I like them too. Pebbles, how about a suicide shifter? Those are, it's a little different. It's actually what they call a suicide clutch or a foot clutch, and then it's called a jockey shift. And basically, what that is on a normal bike, your clutch lever is up on your hand grip, and you use your foot to shift gears. And the jockey shift, the shifter is actually right next to the gas tank, or on some bikes, some custom bikes, they'll put them down below the seat or somewhere, and you actually use your foot as the clutch. And yeah, well, I'm just letting everybody know in case they didn't, Pebbles, but the where where the term suicide clutch comes from is the common misconception that, let's say you have the bike in first gear and you got to hold your foot on the pedal to keep the clutch disengaged. And if you slip off the clutch or whatever, the misconception is your bike will take off into the intersection, you'll get hit, and you'll die. That being said, and even if you run a no front brake setup, if you slip your foot off the clutch while it's in gear, the bike is going to stall. It's a different kind of riding experience, but it's just as fun, if not more so. Turning guns. Nice turning guns.
Sean, are you with us?
Pardon?
I was asking Sean if he was with us. If he has his.
I'm with you. Just I DC'd for a moment. Sorry about that.
No, you're okay. Just making sure that you had a connection.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Appreciate
mean to come
appreciate
on and
that.
hijack the show. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We talk about everything here.
Well, thank you for making me feel so welcome here.
Well, I'm glad you feel welcome. Anytime.
I'm actually having a cup of noodle here, so I don't mind listening, guys. I'm going to continue eating while you guys have your discussion.
I like the cars. I like the bikes. My favorite cars are the 80s and 90s GM front wheel drives.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I like about, I don't even know what year, the old Novas.
Mm.
They were just the build of it. I had
The
a neighbor,
bigger ones or the smaller ones?
the two-door. I don't know, just the whole way it was
Is-
built, and then the um, really old Dodge Chargers. I think it was a Dodge Charger. A couple of my friends had those, and the one that I think was a Charger, it may not have been, because that would have been in the 70s. I don't even know when they started making Chargers.
The first Chargers, I believe, came out in '64.
Uh,
The first Nova actually came out in '62.
yeah, and the
Then the
Nova.
Dukes of Hazzard Charger was a '69.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was. It may not even have been a Charger. It's more rounded, kind of. But it had a hood scoop on the hood, and
Hmm.
carburetor caught on fire one night while it was
Let's see, my or our showcase car is a 1987 Chevy Celebrity station wagon.
Oh, really? I was like, I will never drive a station wagon. I will never look like the old lady in the station wagon.
Well, I could understand that.
I didn't like the El Caminos either.
Really?
Yeah, those were the two that I just really didn't care for. And I know a lot of men think El Camino. Oh, yeah. No,
No,
never.
that's all right. I like the ugliest year of those, so. But then again, when I was 5 years old, it was Christmas Eve of 5 year, blah, Christmas Eve of '83. 5 years old, my dad packed everything he owned up in the El Camino and a van, and proceeded to move me to Ohio. And so my first road trip memories was in a '76 El Camino. And it was a memorable trip because we hit an ice storm in Tennessee and the spindle froze and broke on the truck. And so we ended up having to take a Greyhound from Tennessee to Columbus, Ohio. And my grandmother up there, she loved me so much that she made Santa Claus pause Christmas just for me an extra day.
Yeah, that's cool.
So El Caminos have a soft spot in my heart.
You see Al's comment. El Camino
Mm,
come with a complimentary mullet. Come on. What's not to love?
exactly. Mm, well, I'll tell you what, Al. Let me do this. I'll turn my camera on for just a second. You see, got nice hair. I'm clean back, but if I pull, um,
Yeah,
I haven't had a haircut in over 4 years.
yeah, me either.
No beads, just
Very long.
hair tie. But and normally I wouldn't be into wagons to go about touch on that as far as why I have a celebrity. Actually, I have two celebrity wagons, but I also have an affinity for hearses.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I believe that your first ride in a hearse should not be your last.
I've I've seen some people driving hearses.
And this one celebrity wagon that I'm building, um, it was a very, very limited edition. You're funny, Pebbles. Um, and in 1987, the Chevy Celebrity was the most popular car in America. And in that year, they built over 600,000 wagons. Okay.
Goodness.
The one that I'm going all out and is going to be my retirement car, or our retirement car, is documented as being one of only 57 ever made. And undocumented, it's got an option on it that makes it one of one. It was called the Eurosport VR edition, and it was kind of the grandfather to the um, tuner cars and it was not the AMC Eagle. This was just a front wheel drive 6-cylinder, but it had custom body kit that was only available for 2 years. And this one being a first year, it also got a custom interior from the factory that unfortunately included brothel red carpeting. But this one was the only one of the black station wagons to get a digital LED tachometer in the dash instead of a gear indicator. I agree, Sean. Pebbles, I tell you what, if I could find an AMC or an AMX, I would want to find one of the AMX Javelin Highway Patrol 401 cars. They were the AMX Javelins were meant to compete with the Camaros and the Mustangs, but they had a look their own, and you did not want to see one of them in your rearview mirror. The VR wagon that I'm building, though, being all blacked out, monochromatic black all around, it kind of resembles a hearse from certain angles. And so I'm building it into a show car and a functional autocross car. And to that end, it's been lowered 2 inches, rides on 17-inch rims. Instead of the original 2.8 that came in 1987, I've got a 3400 out of a 2005 Monte Carlo SS. So it's a little bit of an odd car. It's not one you'll see every day, and it won't get lost in the parking lot.
That's a good thing. I know the first time I got a white SUV, then I started seeing them everywhere.
Well, on my channel, I've got a series of shorts where I've been rebuilding my dad's 2001 Chevy Blazer, and that one. When I started the series last year, I was basically rebuilding the entire front of the engine. If the serpentine belt touched it, it got replaced. Absolutely, no questions asked. Oh, excuse me. But it's got air shocks in the back. It's got I didn't film it, but the braking system from the factory, it came with ABS, and my dad decided that he no longer wanted the ABS, and rather than just unplugging the pump like a sane person would do, he had me take and custom hand bend and make each and every single brake line on that entire truck.
Did
So
he give
that's
you
in my
supplies?
forte as well. I do interiors. I do custom fabrications. I do a little bit of everything.
I'm just curious, Rev, did he hook you up with supplies and reimburse you for that work? Because that would sound kind of detail orientated.
Very true, Pebbles. But I'll tell you what, my dad's got a 76 Chevy Shorty van that's got a 400 in it from the factory. And there ain't nothing licorice in it. That is one beast you respect, or it will make you respect it. That thing, people have gotten froggy with it when they shouldn't have, and it has bounced off guardrails unscathed. But back then they actually used real steel.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, he dropped now. I'm gonna mute myself, Bonnie, because I've been coughing. I had some. I had a cup of noodles, and one of those little noodles went down the wrong windpipe, and it's like a dry cough. So I don't want to crowd you up listening to me coughing every few seconds while I try to get the reflex under control.
You're okay.
All right, so I'm gonna mute.
Sorry about that.
You're okay. I don't think
So silly StreamYard had refreshed on me and kicked me out.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Do again.
Yeah, we got a little bit of rain in my area, so my connection might be iffy. I'll yield.
Yeah, so far mine's been okay. So one of the things we used to have a lot of fun in was my friends, they would build the buggy rails, old Volkswagens or whatever, and we would go through dry creek beds. I think the scariest one was going up a straight up. It was pretty high because the rail, like halfway up it felt like you were going to flip back. And so you're sitting there when you get to the top trying to lean forward and get all the way to the front. And I loved to jump things. Jumps were my favorite.
I used to like jumps, but having back issues, unless it's a special kind of seat, I try to avoid jumps anymore.
Well, yeah, this is when I was younger. You know, No
Mhm.
brains.
More brawn than brain.
Yes. It's one time I took my truck to my mechanic, and I think it was a tie rod. I'm not sure what it was, but um, it was like hexagon shaped, kind of. And
Mhm.
he pulled that out, and it was twisted. And he said, "I have never seen this in all the vehicles I worked on." I
Mhm.
don't know how that could have happened.
Well, when I crashed my car a couple weeks ago, thankfully the suspension took all the damage, but it, my car has the independent rear suspension, and it actually knocked the wheel hub off of the strut, and anything linking the rear wheel to the body was all bent up.
Oh, goodness.
And pebbles, I think that only applies if you have your oil changed at Walmart. And Dad's van was special ordered with 400 in it.
Hey, Bruce, hilarious too. And hilarious too, yes. When we were kids, we had dirt bikes. Oh, my goodness. Yep.
Dirt bikes, go karts, bicycles.
Yes. I saw the coolest thing. The It's been about a month ago. I was at my daughter's, and you know what a hoverboard is.
Yes.
Okay, all the kids had to have the hoverboards. Well, somehow this hoverboard is connected to this little go-kart looking thing, and this little girl was just going up and down the street with that thing, and I was like, oh, we still need one of those. And so we stopped and talked to her. The weight limit is 250 pounds, and so we're like, okay, we could ride this. We need to get to know her.
Nope. Not unless you got supreme balance. Mm. I'm still disappointed with those hoverboards because Back to the Future got my hopes so high.
Yes. Well, we should be so much further advanced than we are. There was a video of something I was watching. It was a speaker, and it was an old video, and behind him you could see flying cars. And I'm like, did anybody else notice that? Where are they at?
Right?
Only
Well,
for the
well, in Back to the Future too, they were also premiering Jaws 19.
right.
Al, I wonder how that say sorry, how that saying would apply in the Back to the Future 2 future. Is that getting shoved out of your car or something? Get into a car accident and you fall out? And would they use that slang in that reality?
Well, there's a sad bit of history here, folks. Federal Aviation Committee, or excuse me, Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, they actually deem that if someone's going to buy the few flying cars that are in existence that were made, they're, I believe, turbine propelled, that you have to have a pilot's license to fly them for that exact reason. They don't want them dropping out of the sky. So there's always fun inventions, and it's always the government that puts the kibosh on them. But yeah, you can look it up. It was like a red car some dude made back in the 70s or 80s, and it could fly, but you have to know how to land it. That's the hard part. It's not the flying, folks. It's the landing.
right.
Give me just a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay, you're fine. Vega wagons. Hmm. Yeah, I miss being able to work on my own vehicle. That old pickup truck. I could climb in the, I guess you call it the well of it, under the hood, do my own tune-ups, oil changes, whatever it needed. I could pretty much do it. Tie wire around the carburetor flapper. Whatever needed to be done. Back in the old days, we had to make do with what we had. If the dryer belt went out, you used a pair of pantyhose for the belt. Did y'all ever do that?
Yeah, Bonnie, I'm just relating to the chat. I had a half brother who had a dune buggy, and so in the hills of Corona, between Corona and Home Gardens out here, Riverside County, this is back in the 80s. He used to take that thing. We'd be dune buggying all up and down the hills. And the thing is, back then, you know, it's the 80s, you're kids. You ain't thinking about this or that or the other.
Yes.
And we had no seat belts in the back of that dune buggy. Well, let's just say we came up and over a substantial hill, and I kind of went vertical, and my back actually landed on or hit the roll bar, whatever you want to call that. So that's a one of those things. You know, it's like the Homer Simpson falling over the fire hydrant. This is more painful than it looks. You know? Yeah. So
we wonder why our bodies are. It's so.
Oh, I don't know. I don't wonder. I know where all my scars and injuries come from. For me, though, that was the last time I was in that dune buggy. I'm like, bro, until you put seatbelts in this, I can't ride with you. You know?
Yeah. Well, you did a lot of things to mutilate your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Hilarious was originally from SoCal as well. So I was just comparing notes that they had been up in the hills, because our hills, you actually go far enough, like down towards Temecula and Paris and Hemet and all that. We had what's the name of the mine? There's a tin mine, or Copper Canyon mine, and Temescal mine. Just all these mines are like out in the hills and stuff. You know, back when you could trust people, you could have kids go off into not the deep woods or the deep wilds or nothing, but they could go, you know, off the road a few miles, and guess what? They'd come back, you know, a little dirty, but nobody would be dead. Now you don't even know. Oh, yeah. Apple Dumpling lived off of Lincoln. Exactly. I've lived off of Temescal. I've lived off of 8th Street and Via Pacifica off of Border, where the Stater Brothers was. And when I was living off 8th Street, I was literally diagonally across from Corona High School. So, Corona is my stomping grounds. Riverside is considered Corona Part 2. So it's like, you know, you grow up and you wind up working in Riverside and commuting from Corona. In my case, I just moved out here my senior year, graduated Corona High School, made the commute every morning, which on a 10-speed in the 90s is kind of interesting at 0 dark 30. But hey, it kept me slim for wrestling, I suppose. So, you know, Al Bundy, I blame it on all the ex-wives. Oh boy.
I saw that. So are you near the landslides that are happening?
No. I'm in the Inland Empire, which is, I'm like an hour east of, go from the 91 freeway from Long Beach, California, you know, Snoop Dogg's area. You take that 91 freeway eastbound for about an hour, driving at a high speed, you'll be in Corona. And then the next stop as you're going east would be Riverside, then Moreno Valley. Well, and basically you split at the 215-60, and you either go take the 60 and all that up towards the San Bernardino area. You also have 215 it'll curve southbound towards San Diego, Tijuana, etc., and merge with the 15, which splits off the 91 there in Corona as well. So there's a pretty good network of freeways here. But yeah, where we're at is like an hour from everything. We're like an hour and a half to 2 hours from Big Bear. We're about 4 hours in a Trans Am from Vegas. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Uh, 4 hours in a Trans Am, 2 hours in a Trans Am from 29 Palms, depending on how you work it out as the crow flies and what speed the driver's doing. Let's see here. From Miramar, it was about an hour down Camp Pendleton, maybe about an hour and 30 minutes just because of the hills. So I'm in a good spot location-wise as far as being centrally located, kind of like how Orange County is right there between LA and San Diego. Well, Riverside is just east of Orange County. So, yeah, kind of a good spot. Let me see here. I'm just taking a look at the chat real quick, too. Next thing you know, I'm lost on the chat, but let's see. Dumpling is saying lived above the high school, backyard facing junior high. Oh, yeah, probably a Rainy Junior High or what have you. So, yeah, it's a small world, folks. We all are bouncing around here late night on YouTube and stuff, and it's turning out we've all either visited each other's place or we know each other's places. And then for the case of someone like Bonnie, well, if she isn't traveling around, I think that's our job to come visit her, bring an apple pie or something.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, it might sound corny, but I've been watching the Andy Griffith show last week, and it's like, yeah, that actually, believe it or not, was how small town America used to be like, was Mayberry, except you didn't have Barney Fife, shooting his gun off before you get it out of the holster or putting it in his mouth or ear or his nose while he's thinking.
I know. No, my goodness. Everything.
Don Knotts. Don Knotts was great in that character. Let's see. Pebble says Trans Am came with a 400. Enough said. Oh yeah. Yeah, 91 Green River from Apple Dumpling is a nightmare. Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger approved them expanding the 91 freeway back when he was governor, and it took till the end of the Obama administration and Jerry Brown out here for them finally finish building it. Like Governor Brown would not release the funds to do it, and they drug that project out for so long. So Pebbles is saying she remembers Burt Reynolds' Centerfold. I can say I don't, so I guess that's a joke I'm not going to get. I just remember Smokey and the Bandit.
Yep, that's all I remember.
Now there's an idea. I wonder if Smokey and the Bandit's car, if Smokey's car could actually outrun the General Lee, which, they're not allowed to have that on TV no more with a Confederate flag on the roof and all that, but too bad. I still have the box
funny,
set of
Warner Brothers still has a General Lee, though.
So yeah. John Schneider, he makes sure he has one.
His screen used General Lee had a tree fall on it. Yes,
and I saw that after that. Was it a hurricane that went through, or?
Yep, Hurricane Ida.
Yeah, and he's on that little island in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't seen
good folks.
Pebbles, you would take the Trans Am with the 400. I'll see your 400, and I'll take and raise you a 1989 Trans Am Pace Car Edition, 1500 made, with what was essentially a Grand National turbocharged V6 drivetrain.
Yes, Sal. I live in one of those Mayberries.
The town I live in, you literally could have confused it with Mayberry RFD, but ever since they brought the Florida Expressway through and stuff, it's just become another city.
Oh, cool, Garrett. I know, and I really feel it could possibly happen close to me, because Austin just keeps spreading. Really don't want to be part of Austin.
Urban sprawl is unfortunately very real and is taking over America.
Yeah.
I would say that while that's visibly taking over, I would say that we, the people, are counter taking it over. That's why they had to flood us with all these folks from other nations, is because we're actually coming back, and a lot of the younger kids are actually realizing, yeah, let's have families, let's have wives, let's get married, and not get promiscuous and
Yes.
get ourselves STDs and get ourselves with baby mama, baby daddy drama and all this dysfunction. So that counterculture of you can call it the white pill or the Chad pill or whatever. I think that's coming back strongly. Someone made the calculation that the reason they're importing so many people, and they've now said, okay, let's secure the border now, that they're trying to do that to beat the numbers for November. And I'm thinking to myself, well, actually, if we keep flipping people over to our side of this spiritual war, and even the people they have immigrate, I know that sounds controversial, but if you can get these folks to realize, hey, you're Catholic or you're some type of Christian from one of these denominations in Latin America, you agree with the same stuff we do. It's just, you happen to come up here because our darn globalist government, locked down the third world.
Yes.
So, we're going to try to help your nation get back on its feet by stopping our nation from being so corrupt. It's not a hard argument to lay out. It's the liberation theology that's pushed by their handlers and by groups like Catholic Charities and Georgetown University and the like. That's the stuff you have to counter against. And what they'll do is they'll, of course, blame all the drama on Israel. It's like, nope, Israel got the hookup back in the day because those folks at the Vatican were their babysitters, for lack of a better way of putting it. So, put the responsibility on the migrant issues where it resides. The Biden administration and these NGOs, I'm pointing at you, Catholic Charities, wherever you're at. You guys are creating the problem because you guys don't want America to slip through your fingers, because you don't want it being a Protestant nation that's for freedom. And that's the big issue. Goes all the way back to the Treaty of Verona, where Pope Pius, I believe it was, declared himself the vicar of Christ. And that spawned centuries of religious wars across Europe. And so these folks called the Pilgrims, they got tired of that stuff. They got tired of living under a king who was the head of a church in England that was going corrupt. They said, you know what? Let's go somewhere where we can pray and do what we want. And it didn't work quite out in Amsterdam like they had hoped. Too many people were partying it up there. They came to the Americas, and they're like, hey, you know what? We're away from everybody. Yeah, we got this business charter with, with the king, but otherwise, they leave us alone. And the first building they were building, folks, this is why I'm saying it's a spiritual reawakening on top of a political one. First building they would always build in all these communities was the church house. And your church house was your schoolhouse and your courthouse. It served all three functions. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have your house in order, get it? Your spirit, the way you govern your house, your laws of the house, and the school for teaching the children that you're not taking care of your kids, aka your family. If your house is not in order, how can you have your government in order?
That's true. I had seen migrants coming over with Trump signs at the border.
When Trump went to the Mexican border with Texas earlier this week with Governor Abbott, there are chants for Trump coming from across the river.
Really?
Yeah, and to be even perfectly honest, even the narcos know that Trump in power would be better, because if you secure the border and you quote unquote stop the drug trafficking, as a drug trafficker, you then can raise the price because of scarcity. So it's win-win. You gotta know how to appeal to people's pockets. And the fact is I've told the lucha promoter I work with, okay, if it's harder for us to get luchadors up here, we charge for the shows, the people that the carnivals and fairs that we do when we fly in. So when we say, hey, we have to charge more because it's harder to get them, across the border once they fly into Tijuana. And that would be, since we put that expense on the festivals, it's like they'll agree to it because they'll understand that, yes, it's more expensive to travel now, especially with all the COVID nonsense and everything.
And if they do a major crime here, they are deported, no questions asked, do not return. because, well, y'all have seen it. It's picking up, and they don't care. If they'll beat up the police, there's no respect for authority whatsoever. So who are they going to listen to? Nobody. They're going to do what they want to do.
My concern is with like all the Chinese immigrants and the Iranians and the Middle Eastern, they're just flooding through the southern border as well. And there's a certain political party that's trying to give these illegals voting rights so that they
Yeah.
can stuff the ballot box. But I was going to ask you, Bonnie, and since you're in Texas, how are you doing between the invasion from the south and the fires to the north?
Well, I'm 8 hours from the fires, thankfully. We do have a bunch of people here all over Texas that are taking cattle trailers, horse trailers, anything they can find to rescue animals from the fires. And then the border, I'm about 200 miles from the river. And so, and I have a really good sheriff. So in my county, we're okay. And a lot of our surrounding counties are the same. And we are one of the 53 counties actually that declared this as an invasion on Texas.
I'm proud of you guys, and Florida is sending our love and support to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just a crazy time. And when that first started, seeing what was happening there and how they were using the children, I started calling my state reps, the governor, the attorney general's office, all of them. The attorney general's office is the only one that I actually got a voice to talk to. The others were recordings or, please don't call this number, send an email or a letter, whatever. And so when I talked to the lady at Paxton's office, she was like, okay, I can tell that you're a little upset and I understand totally, but this is a federal issue and our hands are tied. So I don't know what happened that made Abbott suddenly start putting this all on the administration in office now, but he's using the Constitution. He's doing it the way it should be done, but I still keep looking for the fine print, and I know that's horrible, but when you lose your trust in the whole government, and I'm talking the whole thing, all the way down to city, it's really hard to believe that they have their full heart in doing what's right for the people.
If I may, Bonnie,
Yes.
trusting government is not a good thing. After all, that literally means to rule the mind. Govern mente, mente being the mind, Latin, hence mental, etc. Anyway, what I am going to do is propose something, and this is those who are listening can debate it or flesh it out, whatever. I always reference the Battle of Athens. Bonnie, did you manage to get to see it yet? Because I know I've told you about it.
I know you did. No, I didn't get to. And
Okay.
what did you tell me that is on?
It's the Battle of Athens is on YouTube. There's a made-for-TV movie about it. It's only like an hour and a half. It's a real story out of Athens, Tennessee. 1946, ladies and gentlemen, you had all the World War II veterans come home. And in Athens, Tennessee, story time, folks, you had a corrupt mayor with his lackey as the sheriff, kind of like Dukes of Hazzard with Boss Hogg and Roscoe P. Coltrane. Well, anyway, Athens, Tennessee, though, is a real place. It's not Hazard County. And these veterans saw how bad this mayor was running the city and the county area. Hey, Golden. And long story short, for the Battle of Athens, we had ourselves a bunch of veterans run for office. And then the mayor decided to tell the sheriff to go confiscate all the ballots and retreat with them into the county courthouse prison house. So the veterans and the community all got together, and they went to that county courthouse prison house. They went to the armory, which, oops, the armory just happened to let them go inside and get their rounds and ammunition. How nice of them. Some dynamite, some other things. They surrounded the courthouse. There was a small gunfight. The mayor and the sheriff fled, leaving the votes and the ballots and all that stuff behind. Now the votes were counted again properly, and the veterans who ran for office, turns out they actually won, and not the mayor. And people lived happily ever after. The mayor and the sheriff were chased down, tried for trying to rig the election, and lived out their years in infamy. Mm-hmm. But here's my point: a sheriff, if they can confiscate ballots and voting materials in times of corruption, wait for it, folks, wait for it. If there is something happening like a crime of people stuffing ballots or rigging the machines electronically, since we now know this last primary, those machines went down because they weren't hooked up to the internet, as Steve Bannon and his lady guest out in the field reported. Wait, they're not supposed to be hooked to the internet because you could be hacked that way. So, point being, electronically or physically stuffing ballots, ladies and gentlemen, you have an item used for a crime, which means you can go to your sheriff and actually have them confiscate that material as evidence of a crime, thus, drum roll, collecting those materials for forensic audit. You don't have to touch a single thing. You just have to know who your sheriff is and have them do the job. I'm going to go ahead and yield.
Absolutely. And so that's one of my battles right now is with the city council, because they are going insane with the ordinances. Y'all need to read your ordinances of where you live at, because that's where they put all the, you are only allowed to do this and this and this and this. You may not do this, this, and this. And they are ridiculous. Right now, the battle is if your trash can is by the road for so many hours too long after the pickup and or before the pickup. So yeah.
Sounds like an HOA gone mad.
Yes. And we've had so many people move in from California, Canada. We have a developer here from Canada that's trying to, and so being a small community, and Texas has a problem with water also. For some reason, we have rivers and lakes all over the place, but they keep saying that our water level is getting lower. And so our little small community cannot accommodate a big influx of people. And so that's been an issue with the city council, because we have a man from California that is building a huge apartment complex, and he wants it annexed into the city limits so he can get city sewage and water. And we're fighting that. We have a few battles going on here right now. But that's how you got to do it. Is keeping up with it and seeing what's going on in your community that could affect you. For the longest time, we were not allowed to collect rainwater. Well, they finally took that ordinance off. Enough of us complained about it, and it's gone. But
it never ends, does it?
Nope. I don't know why the desire for power and ruling over people is so strong. I can't imagine. To me, it would be a big headache because it costs more money to make sure that these things are not happening that you don't want to happen. You're going to have to pay somebody to go around and see if it's happening because you can't see everybody all at once. It's a pretty rural area too, and we're spread out. And it doesn't make any sense to me. The desire to try to tell everybody what to do and how to do it.
Well, in the Bible, it says the love of money is the root of all evil, and if you lust for the money, then that's a way to control the people.
Yeah.
You know, if you can starve somebody out for 3 weeks, they're going to do whatever you want just for the slightest bite of ramen noodles.
Yeah. Which seems to be looking more realistic than that. That's what a lot of people are saying about the fires up north, that it's to destroy the beef. Well, I don't know how much has been lost, but I know there's a lot of people that have rescued. And I think there's been 2 human deaths. And they only have it 15% contained. That's not good. After this many days, I would have expected it to be more, but it sounds pretty bad up there.
I feel for you guys.
And then I heard too that there was a nuclear plant up there. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, wouldn't that be form conspiracy theories out the yang?
Yes.
Anyway, Miss Bonnie, it's 11:30 here in the evening, and I've had a really long day, and it's been great hanging out with you. Thank you for having me. I've greatly appreciated it, and nice meeting you, Sean, and everybody in the chat. Thank you for letting me come in and hijack the show for a little bit.
No problem, Rev. Good having you. And Bonnie, I'm going to mute myself and let you head out because I am still at work. So I do have some work related folks to say hello to and stuff like that. I'll be listening, though.
Okay. And
right.
Thank you for coming up.
All right. Thank you, guys. And have a great night.
You too. Blessings to you. Absolutely. Amen. Kiss off. I don't think, well, I know. Things were not going real good until I realized that. Just put it that way. 1989. So, I have a song. Of course I have a song. I'm going to mute and play it.
These mist-covered mountains mountains are home now for me, but my home is in the lowlands, and always will be. One day you'll return to your valleys and your farms, and you'll no longer burn to be brothers in arms. Through these fields of destruction, baptisms of fire, I've witnessed your suffering as the battle raged high. And though it did hurt me so bad, in the fear and alarm, you did not desert me, my brothers in arms. There's so many different worlds, so many different suns, and we have just one world, but we live in different ones. Now the sun's gone to hell, and the moon riding high. Let me bid you farewell. Every man has to die, but it's written in the starlight, in every line in your palm. We are fools to make war on our brothers in arms.
And that's what we all are, right? And sort of, maybe. All right, y'all. I'm going to close this one down. Hope y'all all got something out of it tonight. We're stronger together. Indy's got that right. So reach out to who you can near you. They're out there. The good ones are out there. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for coming in. I enjoyed it. It was interesting. Covered quite a bit. Good to see all you car people. So y'all take care. Keep each other in prayer. God bless you and have a good night. Love.